Hello friends, welcome to new video. Today's video we're going to look into row level security, a very basic and simple row level security, and also we look at the importance of the all DAX function in this solution. This video is based on a question posted on Power BI community forum. Let's look at the question and then we will look into the solution. Let's look at the question first. So here this question was posted on April 15th, and what user is looking for, I need help on RLS DAX. So I have two users, salesman and admin. Admin can see all three lists ASM, and salesman only see one list which is S. So basically the question is saying there's a list of the salesman and or users, whatever you want to call it, and then they have a type, whether the type is an admin or the type is a salesman. If the user which we select, the type is salesman, then user only get to see his own data. But if the type is of that user is admin, then that user can see everything. Again, it's a very simple question. I'm pretty sure there are tons of posts on this, but I just looked into this and worked on it, and I thought this is a good refresher for row level security, and build the solution step by step, and I hope you guys will learn a few things out of it. So let's get to Power BI, look at the data, and then develop the solution. Let's get to Power BI. So here in Power BI, I have a very simple table. I just took the data which a user shared with me on community forum. It is always helpful when there is some data to work with. So pretty much what I have here is two tables, a user table which has a username, or maybe this is a username. Again, I'm not going into user principal name or username as a DAX function, so but I'm just going to look into that as an RLS solution, how this whole thing works out. And then the user ID and then the type. So this type is what is we are interested in. And if the type is M is a manager here, actually A is a manager here, A is an admin. If the user is admin, then he get to see everything. Otherwise, user only get to see their own data. And so let's look at this, how it would work. And again, then there is another sales table, which is just a sales of that user, and the simple relationship between the user and one to many. And the first thing what I just created a table here, and so first thing what we need to do is in row level security, what we need to find out what is the type of the user. And once we know the type of the user, then it becomes really easy, because then we can say, okay, if the user type is A or admin, then show everything. And if it is not admin, then show only what the user is supposed to see. But the important part in this solution is that how the all function becomes really critical, and why it is important in this solution. So let's look at the solution. So first part, what we're going to do is we are going to find out, based on the current user who is looking at the data, what is the type of that user. And to do so, I already have a measure, so let's go through that measure. So I call this measure user TSLM type. Again, that is because the column. So let's see what we're doing in this measure. So first we're getting the user principal name. That is what the user is logged in. It will give the UPN, the user principal name. Again, this is usually the email, because when you're working with Power BI service, that you are logged in as a email, that will become the user principal name. And then, so first we store that in a variable, then we are finding the type of the user. So this is really critical. What we're doing here is we are filtering our user table where TSLM M name, this particular column, which is assuming this is the username or the email address. Usually it would be the email address. So we are saying, okay, TSL M name is equal to user. So whatever the user is currently selected, we are finding what is the type of that user is. But pay attention here that we need to put the all here. The why we want to put the all, because we want to remove any filter coming on this particular table. And let me show you actually, if we remove the all, what happens here. But let's work with that this is the measure, and then I'm returning the user type. So that's the first part. Once we have this measure, we can get the type of the user which is currently logged in. So we're looking at the report. So let me put this measure in a KPI, in a card visual here. Let's make a copy of this one. and add this new measure called the user TSLM type, which we just created. Of course, it will be blank because we have to force the row level security and test that. And before we do that, the second part what I did is in the modeling, again, we created a roles. So in the roles, what I did is I created a role called user role on the user table. And what is in this role? First, we are getting the user type. Again, that is the measure, which is user TSLM type. And what we're saying is if user type is equal to, actually this is supposed to be A. If user type is A, then return true. Now, one part of RLS is when we create the roles, it is always true or false. What it tells, like what rows the user can see. So if it is true, the user can see that row. If it's a false, the user cannot see that row. So what we are doing here is we are forcing it if the type of the user which is currently looking at the report, if the type of that user is A, then show everything true and all the rows he can see. Otherwise, filter our US TSLM, our user table on the user principal name. So basically what we're doing is, okay, if it is not admin, if the user type is not A, then filter my user table on the user principal name. And then because that user principal name has a relationship with the sales table, it will only show that sales. So let's see how does this work. Let's test this out. So what I'm going to do here is, since we have created the role is already here, so you also pay attention to user TSLM type because that's the KPI. So how we can test it? So we can view as role. So other user. So what I'm going to use is let me pick one user from here. Let's pick Jacob Pitts. So what we're telling here is that I'm looking as Jacob Pitts. So user principal name will return this value. And again, as I said, once you are logged into the Power BI service, usually it's the email address, the UPN. But here we are testing with the names only. And then the user role, because why we're checking that we want to apply this role. So what we're now saying here is, I want to look my report as a Jacob Pitts using this role, which we created called user role. And now if I go OK, we're supposed to see only Jacob Pitts. I think I made the change into the role but did not save it. Let's go back, manager roles, because originally it was M. I think I should have as an admin as an A. I never made that save. Oh yeah, okay, so this is supposed to be A. Save, and immediately we will see the changes. Jacob Pitts will only see its own data. Yeah, here you go. So now he sees his only data and this sales is 182. So this is Jacob Pitts. So what we're doing is, okay, if this is not an admin, then only see your own data. So let's stop viewing. Now let's pick up someone who is an admin. So let's sort it by TSLM type. Okay, so Jeff Grace is an admin. So let's see this report as in a Jeff Grace. And what happens here, and again you will see the TSLM type would be this based on what the user currently looking at the report. So Jeff Grace, and then we are using the user role, and then if we go OK, and you will see the TSLM type for that is A, and now he can see all the data. 16,328 is total sales for all the users. So and then as you can see, he can see all the users. But if we are using any other user than A, let's say Tim Fram, which is again view as Tim Fraham, and he is of type M, and he will only see his sale. Tim, spell it correctly. Okay, so whatever his sales is, again this number should change. Okay, so this is a type M, and this is total sales 122. But again, as I said, the all function to get the TSLM type is really critical. So let's take a look at that. If we remove all function, what happens? So we're going to use a TSLM type. This function gives us the type of the user, and that drives the logic for the row level security. So I'm just going to remove all here and then apply the changes. All right. So when we're looking as an manager, node admin, then this is working perfectly fine. So let me go stop viewing. And if I go, let's say Jeff Grace again, we look at the Jeff Grace. So modeling, view as Jeff Grace, user role. Okay. So here is the problem, because when I remove all function from the TSLM type, what we're getting is we are getting Jeff Grace, only Jeff Grace row, not everyone's row. And whereas the Jeff Grace is supposed to see everyone's data, he's seeing only his data, but he's admin. Now he's only seeing his data. Why he's not able to see others' data? Even all of our logic in the row level security says that if the TSLM type is equal to A, return all the rows. But why we're not getting all the rows? So let me show you why we are not getting all the rows. Instead of TSLM type here, let's put it in the visual here, in our table visual. So I'm going to bring that Meyer and put it in here. So as you can see in the Jeff Grace, we are getting A, and of course the TSLM type is also returning A. That's working perfectly fine. If I stop viewing this, so what our TSLM type is happening at this point of time, probably it will be blank because no user is looking at the data, and that's why we don't see anything here. And but I want to show you when we add all, what happens actually. So if I go back, add all, basically what is happening is then all the rows in the table will return, because we are removing the filter coming on that, and all the rows will return a user type which is A, and that's why we will able to see all the rows. So let's look at this again. Go modeling, view as, and now I'm going to look at Jeff Grace. User role. Okay. Here you go. So because with the all, every row is now returning A, whereas even if you look at Alex Garja or whatever that name is, the TSLM type is M, but our measure is returning A. The reason why the measure is returning A, what we're saying is filter on TSLM name is user, which in this case is Jeff Grace. We selected, and Jeff Grace is A, and we are applying that across all the rows, and that's why. And then since we're getting A for every user, and now our row level security is saying if it is a if user's TSLM type is equal to A, then that is true, and this is forcing the row to be get returned. This is again very simple and basic of row level security, where with all function we saw how that is very critical, and how the true returns all the rows, and then any other false does not return the rows. I hope you learned one or two things out of this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do subscribe my channel. Until next video, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Thank you.